Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Katie and today we are going to be creating this really cute box. This is for a back to school teacher's gift. I followed a tutorial from Kitchen Table Stamper. She is an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator and she did this last year. I believe this was an online exclusive that came out last year. I don't think it's still available on the website, but I'm sure if you check Facebook Market or eBay, you can get the stamp set and dies. Or if you know a local Stampin' Up demonstrator, maybe they can lend you that or sell that to you as well. So in this box, it holds a Twinkie, and not just any Twinkie. We are going to put in pumpkin spice Twinkies. So these are the limited edition ones that come out every fall. She had them last year. I found mine at my local Meijer. I know you can find them at most grocery stores, and even Amazon carries them as well. I think the best price that you're going to get will be at your local grocery store though. So it's just a really cute box. It opens up and you got yourself your Twinkie in there. The only thing I wish that Hostess would have done is labeled them as pumpkin spice, because really it looks like a regular Twinkie. So if somebody doesn't like pumpkin spice, they may not be all that happy. But I still thought this was really cute. And like I said, I followed the tutorial and I will link it below from Marisa at Kitchen Table Stamper. So essentially what I used are these faux glass dots, and I got this in their last chance clearance section, and I'm not even sure if they're still available either. The Stampin' Cut and Emboss folder. So this is called Changing Leaves. So this is actually really cool. It's a 3D embossing folder that can also cut out the leaves. So when you emboss it, you run it through, your machine, and it will emboss it. And you can see like how really nice and crisp those edges are. But then you put the die in it and it'll actually cut out those 3 leaves. So it's really cool. It's like a 2-for-1. They do tend to be a little more pricey than just the regular ones, but you're also getting a die set with a embossing folder. And if I can kind of like angle, you can see definitely how crisp it made those edges. So I'm showing you this, again, just to kind of show you how the Stampin' Cut and Emboss folder works. But we did use, you're going to be using, if you're going to follow this tutorial, this leaf right here as well, along with this one and this one. The larger leaf, I cut them all out, but I did not use it on this project, and I will be using it on some future projects. So as you can see, I cut out just a whole bunch of colors. And I do have a ton left over to kind of use on other fall projects. And I tried picking out more fall colors and maybe even some Halloween ones as well. I think she did a tutorial with a card last year using this stamp and die set as well. And she made a Halloween card out of it, and it was really cute. So just to kind of show you quick what I was talking about before with this. So it's quite a large die too, and all of these cut out. And then you put the die in it. So I think you have to put the die where it says the Stampin' Up logo. So you put the die in there. I think I have it in the case. So you put it right in here. When you insert it, you can tell like it's there because you can't move it. So it's definitely locked in there once you hear it kind of all click. Then you shove the piece of paper in there, run it through your die cutting machine, and it will cut and emboss at the exact same time. I thought that was pretty darn cool. I don't think I've ever worked with one quite like that before. So with this particular one, the stamp set is called Changing Leaves. And like I said, we are using this one and this one, but you kind of cut them all out, stamp them, and emboss them all at the same time. I'm sure there's a way that you can do one or the other, but I just did it all at once. It was a lot easier to do it that way. This one did have a couple of really good sentiments, but I didn't want any of these sentiments in the teacher's gift. So I decided to look through my stash, and I found this stamp set. It's called Unbounded Love. I'm not even sure if this one's available either. I want to say this was from 2024, like spring maybe of last year. But I use the sentiment, have a blessed day, just because I'm giving this to my kids' teachers. And then with this one, this is another stamp set that's a leaf stamp set, but instead of using any of the sentiments or leaves, I am using this bracket right here, or this label, for the sentiment. And I did cut everything out already and stamped already, just to kind of save some time. But I'm going to give you the measurements, and everyone's probably going to laugh at me because I literally had to ask my husband how to do this. So one of these is really easy, because one of these, you need 2 sheets of paper, any color, and cardstock preferably, and a thicker weight as well, just because it is holding the Twinkie, so it should be a little heavier cardstock. But one of these, so this is 4.5 by 7, so this one's super easy. And then I think this one might be the 4.5 by 7, because one's slightly larger. Yeah, so you can see that it's slightly larger. It is literally by like a 1/16. It is by one little line, and I am not good with measuring. So I'm just going to tell you, cut one 4.5 by 7, and then cut the other one. I'm going to show you on my trimmer. So go to the 4.5 and then just go one little line. And I think if this is going to, maybe if I get a pointing. So 4.5 right here, one line over. And if you wanted to, you could probably do 2 lines over. But I think she had the measurements in like 1/16, and that just like threw my mind off. So not good with measuring, but I know where 4.5 is, and I can count a line over. So that's exactly what I did. And I'm pretty sure, yes, that is the 16th mark. But just to make it easier, I know I can do a dash over, and it will work out. So when you do that, what you're going to do is just cut off these corners. And you're going to do this. You're going to cut up here, and then you're going to kind of cut the angle. And that just helps with like reducing bulkiness. But you're going to do this on all sides. And then after you've cut it, both of them, you're going to score all the way around at 1 1/4. So 1 1/4 this way, 1 1/4 over here. So you just keep flipping it, 1 1/4, 1 1/4. And she did it that way, so you would only have to score it at 1 1/4 everywhere, versus if it was cut, you had to score it at 1 1/4. Otherwise, if she cut it a different way, then you would have to score it differently. So she kind of kept it simple, where you only have to, you cut it 2 different lengths, but you only have to score it one way. And you just, again, go all the way around. So 1 1/4, flip, 1 1/4, flip, 1 1/4, 1 1/4. And if you don't have a scoring tool, a lot of trimmers come with a score. I believe this one's the score one. So push it over to 1 1/4. So like right here, 1 1/4. And then make sure you're not using the blade part, but move it over to 1 1/4 and just, you know, use it there. Or if you do have a ruler, you can measure it over 1 1/4 and just take like a bone folder, or even like a card would work if you measured it over to 1 1/4 and just use a card just to make that line. So then you fold up on all of these. And on her project, she did end up running this through the embossing folder again, but I decided just not to, just to keep it simple. I was making these in bulk, so I just wanted to be able to kind of get them all done. So I didn't run it through, but you could always do that. You could run it through the embossing folder after like you cut out this piece. You could just run it through that same 3D embossing folder, and that way the box has, you know, kind of the imprint on it as well. Hers is super cute with it, but again, I was trying to make a whole bunch of these at once, so I kind of wanted to keep it as simple as possible. And then just fold on all the edges. And then we'll go ahead and get this glued. And I'm just using the Stampin' Seal that I have on my desk, but you could use liquid glue. It'll obviously take a little longer to dry. You could use tear tape. You could use glue dots, whatever glue you have on hand, and whatever glue, you know, is your favorite to use. You are going to put this little corner piece on the inside of the boxes, and you just kind of line it up straight. It's a pretty easy box, and the fun part, obviously, is the decorating. Just make sure those are all folded up. And then, since I was not paying attention to what I was doing, I'm gonna have to figure out which one's the top and which one's the bottom. I'm pretty sure this is the top. This goes in. Yeah. So this is the top. So we are going to, and I forgot to do this. So if you forget to cut out the little edge, she used a 1 inch. I don't have a 1 inch, so I have a 1 3/8. It's okay if you forget to do it before you assemble it, because it's pretty easy to just kind of go in there and eyeball it and get it cut. It is paper after all, so it is pretty pliable. So that way they kind of have, you know, a little area where they can kind of grab at it and open the box up. This piece right here, again, everyone's going to measure, or everyone's going to laugh at me for my lack of knowledge in measuring. This way is 4 1/4, which is super easy to do. And this one is 2 dashes shy of 2. And so what I mean is, literally, if I put it on here, because I know this is ridiculous, but this is just who I am. So there's the 2 inch mark. I just counted 2 dashes over. And that's how I decided to measure it. I don't know. I can count dashes. I don't know if they're 16ths or they're 8ths or they're 32nds or whatever they are. You tell me what dash is top or bottom and I can figure it out. So this is a Cricut tool that I've had forever, and I don't even know if Cricut makes it anymore. And it will just kind of distress the edges. If you don't have a distressing tool, that is not a problem at all. I know Close to My Heart used to make one. I think Creative Memories did, and maybe even Stampin' Up used to. I know a lot of stores carry them, but if you don't have one, I like them because this particular one has 4 different ways to cut it. But if you don't have one, you can always just take your scissors and just run it down the paper as well, and it'll do the exact same effect. So you don't have to have all the fancy tools to do everything, but I just happen to have this because I bought it many, many years ago. And then the fun part, which is the assembly. And I used some really old paper from Stampin' Up from, probably 2014, 2015. I think these were the in colors back then. And I decided to use all of the polka dots, and I'll bring them all in at the end. But the polka dot, they had paper where it was like polka dots and chevrons and all sorts of stuff on it. So I just I kept it all the same. They're all polka dots, but they're all different colors. And then the leaves are different colors. But essentially the assembly is the exact same. For this part, I'm just going to use some liquid glue. I like using liquid glue on the smaller embellishments just because you get a little bit more wiggle room. You know, if you didn't like it quite there, you still have some room to move it. What I really like about this emboss die cut, this is a really nice thick piece, and you can just tell there's so much texture. And I did ink them and then cut them out, so they do have a little bit of extra because I inked them, but this one right here is not inked and it still looks really cool. So I did keep one uninked, and then I could have went over it with my ink pad afterwards, but I thought it looked really cute just the way it was. And we're just gonna layer these on top of each other. And I'm just kind of making sure that, right here, I'm gonna move this one up a little bit more. I'm gonna get this one here because I don't want there to be a gap in all of these. And then with this is from Close to My Heart, and I don't even know if I have it right now, but it was some ribbon that I had in my stash from a long time ago, but I thought it was pretty cute. Or it went really well. It was very good fall theme, nice like woven linen kind of feel to it. Good color combination with this. And I just cut out 2 pieces and I'm just kind of crisscrossing it on there. And then this piece is part of the die set with this. So when you get the changing leaves, and again, if it's still available, if you can find it or if you have it in your stash, you get this die cut as well. So this makes that. And I'm just going to use some leftovers. This is from Close to My Heart as well. This is from their shaker cards. So I'm just going to use, it's almost like dimensionals. They're just little squares. And I cut them just because this is smaller. So put it on one. Just putting them on the back of the larger leaves. And then just popping this on. And then this right here, just gonna stick it on with the Stampin' Seal and just kind of tuck it under those leaves. Let's go. Does not want to go under this one. I'm just kind of tucking them under there because I liked the look of it kind of showing a little bit and like the stem of the leaves kind of showing through. And then for that little piece that's kind of sticking up, I am just going to put a little bit of liquid glue. So liquid glue does not like to stick to this material, whatever this is, this like woven linen burlap kind of material, but eventually it will. It just doesn't like to go on it right away. Then I'm going to add a few of these, again, faux glass dots. They were just really good fall colors. I'm not even sure what the colors are. They all have fun names though. I do remember that was Stampin' Up. So I'm sure they have really fun names. So I'm just kind of putting 3 of them on because that's what I did for all of them. I'm gonna put this one there. And this one up here. Maybe like this orangish one up there. And then I'll just put in the Twinkie, and as you can see, it fits perfectly in there. And just put this right on top. And you have yourself a really cute fall themed pumpkin spice Twinkie box. So I'll just pull in all the rest of them. And I did use some, I used some gray on some of them, some brown, some tan colors. I was trying to use paper that I had in my stash that I really didn't like. So this is cardstock, but it's thinner cardstock. I got this paper from Michael's, and I want to say maybe it's only 60. I can't actually remember. I'll have to look it up, but it wasn't their thick cardstock. I really like Michael's thick cardstock, but I bought some of their, it was on sale, so I bought a whole bunch of cardstock. Came in a whole bunch of packs, but it's much thinner. So I don't like it as much as, like, let's say this one. This one is the Stampin' Up paper, crumb cake maybe, or pecan pie, one of them, probably pecan pie. This is thicker, so I liked using the thicker cardstock to make the box, but I mean, the thinner ones did work. And in all reality, they're probably not going to keep the box. They're going to open it up and eat the Twinkie and, you know, be happy that they got a gift. So this is the project. Again, this was by Marisa at Kitchen Table Stamper, and I will link her video, and I will link anything if I can find it, if it's still available. A lot of stuff is probably old or retired stuff. I know for sure the paper I used is very old and retired, but if you do happen to have it in your stash, it came with a lot. Like, I still have a lot left over, and I've used it on several projects. So if this inspired you to kind of pull out some of your older stuff from your stash, that's an awesome thing. That's kind of my whole shtick this year, is to kind of use stuff that I already have, maybe bring in a couple more new items, but for the most part, use things I have on hand. And then definitely like reuse or fall in love with things that I haven't used in a while. And I am missing one here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and fix that. But like this stamp set, when I bought it, I bought the whole entire suite, and I think I've only used it probably a handful of times, but this has such good sentiments. Like, I'm not getting rid of this one. It has really good sentiments, and just, I love the font. So this one's definitely, I was so happy that I was able to pull it out and use it again. And then, you know, I just like went through my stash and kind of mixed and matched different stamps with different sentiments, with different like labels. So it was just kind of fun, you know, shopping my stash and going through it and figuring out what I was going to use. So I hope you all enjoyed the tutorial and it inspired you to make something. And happy crafting, everyone, and I will see you all next time.